Hi, everybody, and thank you for joining us today for this very special edition of our Soul Food Sunday. My name is Erin Taylor, also known as the Dish Diva, coming to you guys from the Black Women's Health Imperative. Now, we're doing something a little bit different today. We're actually recording this episode live from the Merrymakers Club in Columbus, Ohio. And with me today, we have a very special guest. We have one of our BWHI board members, Vidette Gavin, here to join us today. Hi, Vidette.
Hey,
it's so
Erin.
good to see
so
you.
good to see you too. So glad to have you in Columbus.
Yes.
And thank you all for being here with us. My name is Vidette Gavin, and I have the joy of serving as one of the board members of the Black Women's Health Imperative. And if you are new to BWHI, BWHI is our nation's oldest and largest advocacy organization expressly dedicated to the health and well-being of Black women and girls. We are focused on providing the information, the research, the cutting-edge programming that is based on Black women's know-how, Black women's knowledge, science, culinary arts, all the things that we need to keep ourselves well and thriving. And we're so excited for this episode of Dish Diva Soul Food Sunday edition because it is cookout season, all the savory, delicious things that we like to eat, and we are going to learn how to prepare those things in a healthy way. And this is exactly the type of programming that BWHI supports. You can go to our website at bwhi.org and check out our Change Your Lifestyle, Change Your Life program, which is the nation's leading and only weight loss and lifestyle management program for Black women. It's tailored to us. You know, you go on those other platforms and they're telling you, eat this quinoa. And you're like, but it tastes like bark. You know, we provide things that are culturally tailored to us and that take into account the unique experiences of Black women. So check us out, and thank you so much for being here for this illustrious, delicious episode. And I'm going to get out your way so we can get to this food.
Okay, let's get cooking.
Okay.
Thank you, Vidette. Okay, so like I said, we're doing something a little bit different today. We're here live, and if you guys watched any of my other Dish Diva episodes, you may have heard the voice of this person. But today she's here live and in the flesh.
Yes, I am, and I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, this is Tiffany Phillips, and she and I she comes to us from Montgomery, Alabama, from our partner organization, the Wellness Coalition. So I'm so happy to have you here live and in person because now you get to try all the food that I'm cooking.
Yes, because when I'm at home, I'm always like, I wish I was there in the kitchen with her. And so we finally are here together. So
Yes,
awesome.
yes. And just so you guys know, today's episode is sponsored by All of Us Research. You'll hear us talk a little bit about that. Also, we're both lifestyle coaches for the BWHI Lifestyle Change Program. Change Your Lifestyle, Change Your Life, also known as CYL Squared. So you'll hear us reference that as well. All right, guys, you ready to get started? Yeah.
Okay.
All right, let's do this. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to have a little cocktail.
Oh.
So what we've got here is this is now, you know, as we're promoting a healthier lifestyle, we're talking about doing things a little bit healthier. This doesn't have any alcohol in it, but it also contains the pureed fruit in there. So we're retaining a lot of the fiber. So instead of just using the juice, we're going to use that fiber to help us, you know, move things through our system.
We need that.
So I have here, this is a blend. This is our watermelon mojito mocktail, is what we call them. So it's a blend of watermelon, lime, as well as some mint. All right, and then what we're gonna do is add in a little sparkling water. This limoncello is really nice to go with it. Now the one that Tiffany has, hers is the lemon ginger peach. You'll see on the recipe it says agua fresca. So those are, it's pretty much like a fruit water. So what we've done, we put a little honey in there just to sweeten it up. We're gonna cut that down though, the sweetness down a little bit with that water that we're gonna add into it.
Okay.
All right, so let's do it. We'll crack our cans. You guys will get a chance to try this in a second.
And for those of you at home, sorry, you'll just have to make it yourself.
Right. All right. Ooh, look at that fizz.
Ooh, okay.
So cheers.
Cheers.
All right. Good to see you.
You too.
Oh my gosh, that's so good. Sorry, guys. That
so
is so
good.
good. So good. Okay, so we'll be sipping on those during the
So good.
during this. We'll move the cans out of the way though. All right, so the first thing we're gonna make as far as recipe goes is it's a little play on a potato salad, but we're using sweet potatoes as well and giving it a slightly different flavor profile.
Okay.
Okay. One thing I like about using sweet potatoes is that they tend to be a little bit higher in some of those nutrients like vitamin C, some of the B6s. They actually contain potassium. So, and they're not as starchy as your regular white potatoes. All right,
Okay.
so what we're gonna do, I peeled the potatoes, I cut them up into cubes. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna just spray this with a little bit of oil.
Okay.
And then we're gonna sprinkle a little bit of salt and pepper on there. Now I've already preheated the oven to 425 degrees so that we can just stick these in the oven and we're gonna roast them up. Now, alternatively, you can like chop them up and boil them, but when you do that, they lose a lot of their nutrients into the water. And since we're not using that water, we wanna make sure we retain as many nutrients as possible.
Gotcha.
Plus, roasting them is just easy. You put them in the oven, you forget about them for about 20 minutes, and it helps to just kind of bring out that sweetness of the sweet potatoes too. All right, thank you.
Okay.
So we're gonna stick that in there for about 10 minutes.
Okay.
And then in the meantime, we're gonna get the rest of the salad together. So with this one, we're gonna use some chopped up bell peppers.
Okay.
I think on the recipe, you'll see that it's green peppers, but I like to make things colorful. So this is what I had in the kitchen. And make it easy for yourself. Recipes are just a guideline. You don't have to stick to them, okay? Make it according to your own personal preference.
Yes, and it's so colorful, right? It just adds that vibrant summer.
Yeah,
feel.
exactly. And that's what I love about it. And then here we've got some minced red onion, also some garlic in there.
Okay.
And if you watch any of my other episodes, you know how much I'm obsessed with garlic.
Yes, and ginger.
And ginger. Tiffany knows me so well. All right, and then we've also got, this is just finely chopped up chives and cilantro. Okay, and get that in there. So that's gonna be our salad mix. So once that's done, we're gonna pour our potatoes in there, and then we've got this nice, wonderful dressing. Now I made the dressing instead of using mayonnaise and because they tend to be higher in calorie. And so in our Change Your Lifestyle program, our CYL Squared program, we always talk to our participants about, you need to make sure that you are looking at calories, you're tracking your calories, and then there's always these ways that we can replace those calories, right?
Yes.
And with lower calorie items.
Yes, healthy swaps.
Yeah, so what I've done in here, this is a Greek yogurt base. So what that does too is it actually brings in some more protein. So a lot of times when we're eating a lot of carbs, we don't have like the healthy fats and the protein to go with it. So it will raise our blood sugar a lot faster. But when you kind of have everything in combination, it helps it a lot better. So we're gonna pour that over there.
And so the yogurt is in place of the mayo.
The yogurt is in place of the mayo. Now you can, if you're obsessed with mayo, like we say, just, you can do a little bit at a time.
Yeah.
So what you can do is you can actually put half mayo, half of the Greek yogurt. Now I always tell everybody, you're bringing this, if you go to this cookout and you're bringing this different potato salad, make sure you're not the one who is supposed to bring the potato salad.
Right.
Okay? And then you switch it up with this? No. You will get banned from the rest. You will never be able to make your potato salad again because they're not gonna trust you.
Right.
So you always want to just have this. This provides just a different alternative, right? A healthier alternative. And if you're on a health journey and you're always looking for those healthier items at the gathering, bring them yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, is that what you do?
Yes, absolutely. And give a disclaimer, right? You have to let people know this is not grandmama's, this is not Nana's, this is mine, okay?
Yes.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. And for those of you that know me personally, like a lot of times when there's functions here at this club, I'm the one bringing the big salad. Because I have to make sure I have something healthy to eat so that I can go ahead and eat those wings and maybe that hot dog and, you know, all the banana pudding, all of that stuff that's still usually at those functions, right? Right. So we're going to let that, while those potatoes are going, I'm going to start kind of moving over here because we're going to get the grill going here. So what I've brought to you guys today is this wonderful indoor grill. So like on the day like today where it's raining outside and you don't want to be outside standing next to the grill, this is a good alternative. Have you ever used one of these before?
I have not used one of these before, but I think I'm going to buy one. And where can we get this? Where did you find this?
I just got this off of Amazon.
Everything's on Amazon.
Yes, exactly. So we don't have to worry.
2-day delivery.
You don't have to, I was like, you don't have to worry about finding it somewhere like Bed Bath & Beyond that's going out of business on the clearance rack. But this is, there's a lot of different ones that they have as well. So you can get one that's smaller. I think this one, I got the bigger one just because I wanted to do a little bit more on here. You can also get a smaller one as well. It works either way. So one of the things we're going to do to prepare this grill, I have it preset to about 400, 425. I'm going to spray it with a little bit of oil. So if you're doing this on an outdoor grill, always be mindful of how you're chopping your vegetables, because the last thing you want to do is have them slip through that grate. And then it's a wrap.
Right.
So you can see here I've got some skewered mushrooms and some skewered tomatoes.
So what are some of the benefits of mushrooms, Erin, and tomatoes?
Well, sometimes the mushrooms, depending on how they're grown, they actually provide a lot of vitamin D. And there's not a whole lot of things that, as far as food, where we can get vitamin D that like naturally. A lot of items are fortified with it. That just means they're adding it in. And because it's not as natural, that, you know, your body may not absorb it as well. So the best way to get vitamin D is sunlight. Make sure you're outside, expose yourself to some sunlight for a period of time, then put on the sunblock so that your body actually synthesizes vitamin D. Okay, so that's a really good point. But these mushrooms, in some cases, depending on how they're grown, will actually provide some vitamin D as well. Yeah. So I know a lot of people when they're shopping, like they might be deficient in something. Food is going to be the best way to get your nutrients. Always, always, always. And then supplements are meant to supplement a healthy diet. So just keep that in mind, okay?
Okay.
All right, so what we're going to do, I'm going to just go ahead and put these directly on there, and then I'll spray them a little bit. When you have the vegetables on the grill, you do want to make sure you do a little bit of oil.
Okay, so you're spraying with
avocado oil.
Okay.
Yeah. So you want to get these on here so that they're not sticking to the grates. You also don't want them to dry out completely. And if you wouldn't mind, you can just sprinkle with a little salt and pepper.
Okay. And how long are we?
So with the tomatoes and especially when you have a really hot grill, like 400, 500 degrees, the tomatoes and the mushrooms are going to cook up the fastest. Those are going to be pretty quick. So maybe about 2 minutes per side.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we've also got some asparagus. Now these are some monster asparagus.
Those are huge. But Erin, I've heard this, you know, when you eat asparagus like your pea, what's the cause of that when you're eating asparagus?
There's a compound in there. So it's kind of like broccoli where they have the sulfur that's naturally in those items. Cauliflower, asparagus. So it will definitely, you might get a certain smell. I remember being concerned about that years ago, and I was like at the doctor, like, what? Something's wrong. Something's wrong. He was like, what did you eat? Broccoli, asparagus? I was like, yeah. Or coffee. Coffee does the same thing.
Gotcha.
So, it may make your urine smell a little different, but that's normal. That is definitely going to be normal. So we've also got some onion. We just quartered this, so we want to be mindful again on how you're chopping it. We're going to put that on there and let that go. And then we've got some peppers. Some more bell peppers, yeah. So the onions are going to be the ones that take the longest on here.
And I like, Erin, how you're using this here in this recipe, but you also have it over here as well, the bell pepper, so like multi-purpose.
Oh yeah, so yeah, if you have something left over, especially sometimes people don't know what to do with the tops, like especially if you're cutting it this big, if you don't know what to do with the top of it, if you cut it the top and the bottom, chop it up, put it into that salad.
Yeah, and sometimes I'll take an egg scramble in the morning, like I throw it in an omelet or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's one of
always-
the biggest things with people who are on a health journey. They're usually kind of concerned about buying healthier foods and fresher foods, and because they spoil so fast. Or you know, and again, when the recipe says use half an onion, just use the whole onion.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, it just adds some more
cooks
health
down.
benefits to it. But it also, I mean, if you like onion, then you add the onion to it, because then you have this half of onion that's in the refrigerator for a week. Now it's going bad. And
That
you're like,
you're gonna forget about, because you're just gonna chop another one. You're just gonna, you never go back for that one.
I know. So just make it easier for you. Or if you have another recipe that's actually that you know you're gonna need some onion for, just make sure you allocate it for that, right? Yeah. Okay. I've also got some zucchini and squash we're gonna put on there as well. So of course, if you have the bigger outdoor grill, you're gonna have a lot more space to do all of this stuff here, but we've got a little bit of everything represented on here, right? We're gonna flip these here.
It
Just to get it
smells
cooking.
good. Can you all smell it? For those watching, just imagine.
Right.
Use your imagination.
And then this can actually just work the same way you would if you were to close the grill. So now the heat can just kind of
Help it cook.
help it and help the heat keep the heat from escaping.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So our potatoes might be just about done. Oh,
Almost. You timed that perfectly.
yeah. All right. One thing that we're gonna do with the grilled vegetables is once they're done, we're gonna actually make a salad of them. So this is our summer salad with grilled vegetables that we're gonna be making with these grilled vegetables. Now, like in this case, if you want it still to have that smokiness on the vegetables, there's a few things you can do. Smoked paprika is a great seasoning that you can add to there. If you can find something like smoked garlic, smoked sea salt,
That's a good one.
those will add that smokiness to it. There's also a product called liquid smoke that adds a little smokiness as well. That one has a little bit more like sugar and some of those other weird things in there. You can just turn it off at this point. We don't need the oven anymore. But any of those things can help add that smoke if you have to do the grilling indoor. And of course, we're doing it indoors because how can we record this with being outside? Huh?
Yeah.
All right, so we've got our potatoes ready to go.
Okay.
And I'm gonna take a quick sip here because my mouth is
Okay.
getting
You
dry.
can't leave me out. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's so good.
That ginger in there is so good.
Okay, so we've got our potatoes here. Yeah, I'll take the oven mitt. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna pour it into our bowl.
And what is this here?
It's a silicone baking mat.
Okay.
So I like this instead of using parchment paper. I'm more of an environmentalist. So instead of like wasting the paper after each
Throw it away.
use, I can just wash this and use it again.
Okay.
And I also like because it's covered.
Yeah, and where do you get that?
Amazon.
Everything's on Amazon.
Everything is on Amazon. But you can see here, I just kind of dump them in there. And now my sheet pan is still clean.
You just put it back
Look at
in
that. It's so clean. I might do like a wipe through just in case like
Yeah,
something
okay.
leaked out. Like if you're baking chicken with one of these, you probably should wash it because there's some of that juice and stuff is going to come out of there. So if you have something that's really juicy, I would recommend definitely still
rinsing.
washing it. But this, I will just
Wipe it.
wipe
Put it back under the
and put
sink.
it in there. Can you just put the towel down next
sure.
to the oven there? I'm just going to get this out of the way. I was going to have you grab this, but I think that's probably a bad idea. Okay, so we're going to go back to our grilled vegetables. Oh, no, we got to do this.
Yes,
So
yes.
if you want to go ahead and pour the dressing over top of there.
Okay. Okay. And we just want to lightly coat it? We don't-
Yes.
Okay.
So like I said, the dressing has the Greek yogurt on it. We've got some of the garlic in
Oh, it
there,
smells so good.
which again, garlic is my thing. So I'm always gonna have lots of garlic. And the idea is not to drown the potato salad in the dressing, just to nice and lightly coat the potatoes.
Look at that.
And then, look how pretty it is.
So pretty and colorful.
And all those greens in there. So I will tell you this too. With those herbs and spices, if you're trying to go a little bit lower with sugar, herbs and spices is the way to go. You're gonna get a lot of flavor from those things and you won't have to add as much salt. How pretty is that?
So pretty.
I know, she's like my Vanna White. I love it. And those herbs, and especially those little green leafy herbs, so most of us are deficient in getting the amount of greens that we need to get. You know, I think out of most vegetables, people get the least amount of greens. You know,
yeah, that's true.
and those have the most nutrients in them. So when you're looking at something like cilantro, basil, you know, any of the like chives, any of those little green leafy parsley, you know, any of those little things there, they're actually going to have some of those same nutrients that like kale has. Okay, so adding those to there not only is going to add more flavor, but now you've got more nutrients.
Yeah.
So I know that's always my focus. More nutrients per bite.
Yeah.
That's what we want to focus on. Try to get more nutrients for every bite of food that you put in your body.
Yes.
Because that's what we need, and that's what we're talking about today, feeding our soul, right?
Yes.
For Soul Food Sunday.
Yes,
Not
absolutely.
in our bodies. Yep. So we're going to do a little flipping here.
I like those grill marks.
I know. So you guys can see here, look how pretty that looks.
It's like you cooked it outside on the grill.
I know, who would guess? This might be a good alternative to, you know, if you don't want to put them on the grill because there's, you know, maybe your husband or partner has a whole lot of meat on there, which is typically the case. You could do the vegetables here.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got the nice grill marks on all of these things here.
Smells so good.
I'm going to have you hand me one of those plates over there.
Okay.
And so pretty much everything else we're cooking today is going to be on this grill. Okay, so what we're going to do, move this back here. So the mushrooms seem to be done, so we can just kind of get those off of the skewers. The tomatoes, you can see some of the grill marks on there. And like I said, these don't take very long at all, but like having cooked tomatoes, yeah, you want to do it? Having the cooked tomatoes is so nice, and you kind of, they stay whole, and then you take a bite, and it's like this burst of flavor in your mouth.
Yeah, and I think it brings out the sweetness in them too when you grill them.
Absolutely. And you know, with some foods, you have more benefits, health benefits from them when they're cooked versus when they're raw. Tomatoes are one of those. So when you eat tomatoes cooked, you actually get more of the lycopene out of those. Yeah, and that's a really a good antioxidant. So, you know, antioxidants do anywhere from helping to prevent cancer, helping with inflammation, helping to prevent, you know, heart disease. So those antioxidants are really important to get. And the more colors you have represented, the more types of antioxidants you're going to have. So that's why I'm always saying, like, I love having a colorful plate because I know I'm getting the nutrients I need, right?
And it's pretty.
It's beautiful, yeah. Let's steal this from you here.
Okay.
Oh, we got some mushrooms that fell off. Now the skewers and the mushrooms can be a little issue. So that's where when we were skewering them last night, mushrooms are falling apart. So that's something where we talked about the grill pan. That would be really convenient for.
Oh, look at that.
All right, I know.
Nice and so good.
All right. Still need it. So you just want to flip it to make sure it gets cooked very well there on all the sides. This asparagus might be about ready to go. Got our peppers. Look at that. Nice little bites. Yeah? So what we're going to do is we're going to put this on top of our salad, but we're going to chop the vegetables first. So you can, if you have one of those pans, you can just chop everything first. If you don't have one of those grill plates, and you're just putting it directly on the grill, then keep it in this whole form here. Okay. The onions take a little bit longer. And take those peppers off of there, especially because they're in this whole form. They have to get through the layers to cook everything. Got our asparagus. Oh, look at all these colors in here. I love it.
Look at that. It's like a rainbow.
Yes. Oh, somebody's raising a hand for a question.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Dana. I wanted to know a little bit more about that silicone thing that you put on that cookie sheet. What was it called?
Oh, okay.
What is it?
Yeah, it's a silicone baking mat. So again, you can find it on Amazon. They have different sizes, although it's been a challenge to find one that actually fits inside the baking sheets that I have. But there's a little bit of like hangover when I put on there, but it's fine. Yeah, it helps contain, you know, all of the food so that when I dump the food out, my baking sheet is still clean. Minimizes cleaning. We're always looking to minimize, right?
Yes.
Especially cleaning.
Thank you for your question.
Yeah. Okay, so now we have our nice little, let's see if I can get it. You guys can see the grill marks there. So you can see it cooked down there pretty well. It's a little soft. And you can use, I used a sweet onion, you can use red onion. If you want to cook it down a little bit more, you can. Some people don't like that bite of a raw onion, so you could cook it down a bit more. Otherwise, I mean, you can just, what you do now is just chop everything up.
Okay.
So we're done with this one, so we can just move that over there.
Okay.
And so I've got my board here. You can put that over there too inside. So we've got the cutting board here. We're gonna chop this up. How we keep those tomatoes nice and whole. Just give it a little slice. I love.
Oh, I know.
I love. You like mushrooms?
Yes, love mushrooms. Oh, they're so juicy.
I know. Mushrooms contain a lot of water. It's like you don't really get that when you look at them because they're not like a typical like juicy fruit or something. They're really dry looking, but once you cook them, they release so much water.
And they're so good.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're just kind of roughly chopping everything here. Oh yeah. Okay, so we've got our nice colorful plate, and then if you can hand me that salad right there.
And Erin, I have to say, I don't usually
Get that.
like put hot, like cooked vegetables on top of my salad. Usually they're raw, but this is a great alternative to that because I like cooked vegetables. Sometimes you wouldn't necessarily eat like a raw asparagus, but you put it cooked on a salad, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like putting warm chicken onto a salad. I mean, there might get a little bit of cooking of the spring mix that's here because these are very delicate leaves of lettuce.
Right.
But you could also do it like a kale salad, but you would just want to chop up the kale salad, chop up the kale very finely, just to make sure that it's very, very fibery. Right, so it's hard to eat it just raw, especially a big leaf of it. But the nice thing about this recipe too is you can actually, if you do something like a heartier green, you can pour the dressing over it and let it sit. And what that acid in the dressing is going to do with the what do we put in here? We've got this lemon vinaigrette here, so we've got lots of lemon in here. So that acid is going to actually help soften those leaves, those kale leaves, those really fibrous leaves. We've also, of course, have lots of garlic, of course, some olive oil. There are some chives in here as well. And what we'll do is we'll pour it over the salad here.
Okay. Slowly.
Okay. We'll just take some pieces here. Get all the colors represented. Now, when you guys go to eat these, the vegetables are whole, so I'll let you guys chop them up. But like I said, if you have and I didn't mix everything together for you guys to enjoy because I didn't want the leaves to get wilted. All right, so now we have all of that in there. Now it's time to pour over the dressing. Okay. Got to stir it up, get all that goodness off of the bottom.
Right.
And I love when I make salad dressings like this, putting it into one of these mason jars is the best thing ever. And you just store it in the fridge. Making your own salad dressing, I mean, is just the thing to do. I mean, there's just so many salad dressings out there that, you know, they're kind of healthy, but then there's also a lot of sugar or a lot of sodium. Yeah. If you can make them at home, that's how you use those leftover onions, garlic, herbs that you're like, oh, they're gonna go bad. Chop them up, mix in some lemon juice or vinegar and some olive oil, and you've got a salad dressing.
And it's really so simple.
It's so simple. Like you don't have, I mean, you can even put something like in a food processor. Oh, we got to mention the food processor. That is like my go-to. I know, we're going to talk about that in a second, but just put it in the food processor and have it all chopped up, and then you don't even have to worry about it. Yeah. So now you guys need to go buy a food processor.
If you don't have, yes.
Yes. I mean, if you don't like chopping and stuff like that, it's just such an easy way to get around that. Ooh, look at all that garlic.
I know. And Erin, you know, we talked a little bit about the Change Your Lifestyle, Change Your Life program. And within the program, we train or teach our participants to have half of their plate of leafy green vegetables. And the quarter of the plate is protein, and the other quarter of the plate is your carbs or your starches. So this definitely...
This fills the bill.
this fills the bill of the program in eating healthy. So
yeah, absolutely. And we're going to add a little bit of protein on here as well. If you want to put a spoon into that feta, we're going to put a little bit of crumbled feta on here. So that adds a little bit of protein. There we go. So now you've got another, like some little bit of a pungent flavor in there, as well as like that lemon is going to just meld really well with all of these vegetables. And then you've got a little bit of protein in there. You can also add in something like pumpkin seeds or almonds. Give it some more texture. And then, and you've also adding more fiber and protein and a healthy fat.
Nutrients.
So you see where we're going here. Everything is going to combine all of those things. Yes. So that is with that there.
That's beautiful.
Oh, no, isn't that pretty?
So colorful.
Okay.
Okay. We'll sit this to the...
Well, sit that to the side. You can just sit on top of that plate there. So we're all done with this one. Or take that over there. Now we're going to go for our salmon burgers. Have you guys ever had a salmon burger before? Yeah. Okay. So I've kind of been doing some experimenting with these salmon burgers. I've done them with some canned salmon, which is also just a budget-friendly way to do them. I just wanted something that was a little bit more moist. And so I was struggling with that with the canned salmon, so I'm using fresh salmon today. And I love it because it just has a brighter flavor to it. You know, it's fresh. And sometimes with the canned foods, you know, you never know what is in there. Sometimes they have to put some preservatives in there. Sometimes it's in water or oil, which increases the calorie count and the fat count. Or they add some more salt to help preserve it. So, you know, you have all these other things in there. When you're doing fresh salmon, it's just the salmon. All right, we're going to take a quick break so that we can get stuff cleaned up, swap out a few things here, and then we'll get started on those salmon burgers. So we'll be right back.
I just continued deep diving into kind of healthcare in this country. When you look at people of color, the access to care, the data that does not exist on, you know, Black patients.
You know, that's why All of Us is such an interesting program. It's a program that I'm working on, and it's being led by the National Institutes of Health. And it really focuses on building a database of diverse participants. So, you know, individuals who have hypertension, we know that there are many drugs out there that treat hypertension. But the question is, are you being prescribed a medication that works best for someone with your genetic makeup? Or are you being prescribed the medication that's new to the market, or the one that your physician is most interested in finding out more information about right now?
Well, that was a very powerful message from All of Us Research.
I agree, Erin, such a powerful message. And so All of Us is a research program, All of Us Research, and it is an initiative that aims to include people of color in medical research. We've learned, like as a community, as people of color, we have not been well represented in research. So its aim is to be proactive and not reactive. So let's say you go into your doctor's office, right? Most of what your doctor is going to prescribe for you is for the average person. But All of Us Research aims to include you so that your unique build, your unique environment, your unique genetics are used to come up with medicine or other things that are going to help you in your health. Is going to help to prevent, like CYL Squared, diabetes prevention program. A medicine that works for me may not work for you. And so all of us, research, which is all of us, aims to do just what it says, include all of us.
Yeah, that's right. And because we've got, I mean, it goes well beyond what we're eating.
It does.
Right? You know, I mean, we're doing preventative measures with the food, but we also need to do those preventative measures when it comes to the medicines that we're taking. So,
yes.
Yeah. So
sure.
you guys can, everybody that's here, you do have a QR code on your table. Feel free to take put your camera on it, and it will take you to the website where you can actually register. And there's different levels of participation, so you can choose which level of participation you would like to be in.
Yeah. And for those of you joining us online, you can go to allofus.bwhi.org.
Cheers. All right, now that I'm hydrated, now back to the cooking. So I promised you guys some salmon burgers. So I making a recipe that's actually going to keep these salmon burgers nice and moist.
Okay.
I prefer to do these on an indoor grill. So if you have a grill plate on like your range or one of those grill pans, it works really well. Or of course, if you have one of these, you can do it on here. So because the salmon is fresh, and I hate losing that flavor of that fresh salmon, and sometimes the grill flavors kind of overtake it.
Gotcha.
Okay, so we've got some salmon here.
Okay, Erin, so what did you use? Is this whole salmon? Did you chop it by hand?
What did I use? The food processor. So like I mentioned before, if you don't have a food processor, I mean, it is just a game changer in the kitchen. So
Sure.
I pretty much put I got a big fillet of salmon from Costco. Just put it in the food processor, just kind of chopped it into fillets, put it a little bit at a time into the food processor, and just made a bit of a ground salmon. Yeah. So it was that simple. So you can see here, I mean, it's in little pieces, and that just saves the time for me trying to chop, right? Yeah. All right, so we've got our ground salmon.
Okay.
And that's our starting point. And then we've got sun-dried tomatoes. Now, who loves a sun-dried tomato? I know that's right. So again, put these in the food processor instead of chopping them. We're gonna put those in there, and that's gonna add some of our flavor. Can you hand me one of those spoons? I don't know why I'm using my hand. And we've got some basil.
More of those greens.
More of those leafy greens. We're gonna add that into here. We've also got some chives. We chopped up some chives here. Yeah, so that's gonna give you a little bit of that onion flavor without having it be too strong. All right, and then of course garlic. Put some garlic in there. And so my thing is always, if a recipe calls for like 2 cloves of garlic, I'm like, oh, okay, that means 5. They really meant 5. Got some lemon juice, which always pairs well with the salmon. Now, making these ahead of time, you just have to be careful with the lemon juice, because the lemon juice will actually cook the salmon. You know, so if you've ever had ceviche, that's kind of what it is. They put that acid on there on the fish, and then when you go to eat it, it's almost like it's been cooked, right? And we're gonna do a little salt and pepper.
Okay.
There we go. And then the game changer here, a little bit of Greek yogurt.
Yeah.
So if you've ever had a burger before, you might have used like breadcrumbs or an egg. We're gonna use a little bit of Greek yogurt, and this is actually gonna help them stay together. It's going to just provide a little bit of moisture in there as well, so we're not eating the dry burgers.
Yeah, and it gives that that additional protein, and like you said before, you know, repurposing. You also use yogurt in your dressing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So if you have some Greek yogurt and you want to make sure you use all of it, this is a perfect way to do that. Okay, you can put those into the sink for me.
Okay.
So we're just going to stir that up, and then we're going to form our patties. Making a little bit of a mess here, but that's okay. All right, isn't that like yummy?
It does.
All that flavor in there. Okay, so now, yeah, see how pretty that is? So now we're going to form them into patties.
And it smells so good.
Yes, it does
All
smell good.
those herbs.
Okay. Can you spray the grill for me?
Absolutely.
Forgot to do that before I put
And
my
what
hand in
have
the
you,
salmon.
you preheated the grill?
Yeah, the grill is about 400.
Okay.
So the same way you would form a regular burger, and I would recommend, like, once you have this in here, kind of divide the burger, the mixture
In the
before
bowl.
you start building the burger, so that you have equal parts, so you're not left with like this tiny little bit, and then you're like doing a mini burger for your dog or something. But if you do have that mini burger, it's a good snack.
Yeah.
Just don't let it go to waste. All right, we're gonna put our yummy burgers on here. And these aren't gonna take very long. I mean, if you have ever cooked salmon before, it's not, you know, a
Yeah.
very time consuming thing. It usually is just a few minutes.
Right. It's that
on
thin
each
line
side.
between
Yeah,
just right and dry.
yes, exactly.
And we don't want dry.
We don't want dry. Stay away from dry. All right, I think I'm probably gonna have one of those puny burgers.
It's okay.
I know. That'll be for my son. He'll get the mini burger. How about that? Yeah, we'll make a little tiny one for him.
It smells.
I know. If you do, you guys smell that? Yeah.
And what are some of the benefits, Erin, of salmon?
Well, salmon, it does contain a lot of those omega-3 fatty acids that our bodies need, and that really helps with like heart health, brain health, and it's something that we have to get from our food. So really important. But some other fish, like not everybody is a big fan of salmon.
That's true.
So some other fish that you can get those omega-3s from: tuna, mackerel. I'm missing one. I can't think of right now, but sardines.
Yeah, I was about to ask.
So
about-
those type of fish you can actually get some of those omega-3s from as well.
Okay.
As far as like a animal-based one. Now, when it comes to like plant protein or plant omega-3 fatty acids, you can get those from hemp seeds or chia seeds. So those are other options as well.
Okay.
I'm gonna wash my hands because they're very dirty. Because we also don't want to cross-contaminate. Thank you. Okay, so these are gonna cook for just a couple minutes on each side. And what I did to kind of go with these burgers, I've made a little bit of aioli. So guess what the base is?
Greek yogurt.
Yeah, you guys are listening. Yay! So I did add a little bit of mayonnaise into this particular recipe, just to help balance the flavor of it a little bit and keep the consistency a little bit thicker, but just a little bit. And you can kind of play with the amounts once you add in the other ingredients into there. So I included some sun-dried tomatoes, some garlic,
Of course. They're learning
some
too.
lemon juice. I mean, but you know what, guys? Garlic, I know I joke about garlic all the time, but garlic is one of those things that really does help like with our digestion. It's like antimicrobial, so like if you're sick a lot of times, you can do, you might see those recipes for like a honey garlic drink or some sort, but it actually helps to kill like some bacteria, some of the bad bacteria in our systems. But it can also feed the good bacteria that we need to help with our immunity and digestion as well. So that's why I love garlic, not only just for the flavor, but the health benefits as well.
Okay, we have a question, Erin.
Okay. Yes.
What is aioli?
So aioli is pretty much like a mayonnaise that they've kind of, I don't know, what increased just the flavor of.
Oh, right.
So it's not just a basic mayonnaise. It's like,
Right.
you know, you'll see like garlic aioli, or so they just add in a ton more garlic, some like lemon juice. Almost kind of the same lines of like if you're doing a tartar sauce, where you take some mayonnaise, you add in like sweet relish and lemon juice, just in maybe a pinch of salt, you know. So yeah, and
Right.
it's because it's a condiment.
Yeah, an amped up meal.
Yes, thank you. I was trying to find the word. Amped is a very good one. I was thinking jacked up, but I was
Like
like,
jazzy.
yeah.
Jazzed up. We like.
jazzed up. That works. Okay, so we're
Oh,
gonna
look
flip
at those
those on
grill
there.
marks.
Yes, and you get these nice grill marks on here. I can't show them to you guys just yet because
Have to
they will
cook
fall apart.
apart.
So just remember, like, it's a delicate, you know, it is a delicate burger, so you want to make sure that If you do place it on the grill, again, use one of those grill those plates that you would put the veggies in as well, because that'll help keep it from falling through. Because the last thing you want to do is lose your salmon. Like that's just heartbreaking to me to think about that. And you might have also seen like some of those wooden planks, like the cedar planks that you can put some of the salmon on. You can do it like that as well, and that just gives another level of flavor. Oh, and I just thought of something. I mentioned microbiome, so I just want to make sure you guys are clear on what that means. It's the community of bacteria that live in our digestive tract, and it helps with things like immunity. It helps with digestion, and so there's all these beneficial bacteria that live in there, and we want to make sure we're feeding those and making sure, and those keep the other things at bay, the other bacteria at bay. They keep yeast at bay. I know for us women, you know, yeast infections can be a very annoying thing. But if you have that beneficial bacteria in there, those actually help keep that yeast at a good balance. Cool. All right, I'm going to throw a bun on here so that we can just get them a little warm, because you know we're going to eat.
We are. I get to eat this time.
I know, you get to taste my food.
Yes.
All right, so if you guys can see here, I'll try to lift it up. There's those nice grill marks on there. And
it's so colorful too.
it just flakes off so easily. Look at that. Can you see the moisture in there? I mean, I know you guys are a little further away, but Okay. Let's see, we're just gonna warm these up a little bit.
Okay, Erin, looks like we have another question.
Oh, yes.
Okay, as far as the salmon, we have farm raised and wild. So do we go which one?
Yeah,
Or does it make a difference?
that's a very good question. It's kind of a loaded answer though, because some people will say you must always get wild caught. But when it comes to, if you are on a health journey, you don't have the budget, you know, I like to think of things as good, better, best. Okay, wild caught can be the best because they're not, you know, they're eating what they naturally should in the environment. They're able to spawn, they're getting all of the nutrients from the ocean. And so all of those things matter, right? Because what they eat, we eat. Whereas farm raised, like depending on where it comes from, they may be fed, I mean, like just random things just to keep them fed, or they may put some antibiotics into the water. And so there's all these factors you have to think about when it comes to the farm raised. But if you know where it's from, like there are some legitimate farms that will say that they don't have any of those things added into the water. There are, specifically at Whole Foods, they have sustainability and like level. And they also will show you pictures of their big pens that are in the middle of the ocean. So these animals are being able to swim, kind of do their natural thing. They're exposed to their natural environment and all the factors that come in with that. But like I said, it's not always affordable to get wild caught. And salmon, you shouldn't be eating it every day either. Okay, so because then the downside to wild caught is that now you have, you know, there's a lot of mercury in the oceans. Now you have to worry about that. If you're eating a whole lot of it, then you have to be concerned, especially with kids. Like you have to be really mindful when it comes to kids in that mercury level, because they're really vulnerable to that, because they're smaller, they have little developing systems and all of that. So, yeah. Well, thank you for the question. Sorry, it was a long answer.
But I like the way you said like good, better, best, because, you know, when it comes to foods like that, not everybody can afford wild caught. And so eating the farm raised is going to be better than maybe Popeyes.
Exactly. Exactly.
You know, so
when you look at the alternatives,
right?
yes,
Popeyes
exactly.
are, you know, farm raised.
Yes.
You're gonna go with farm, you know.
Yeah.
So it's all about perspective.
It is. And even in our Sea Wild Squared program, I mean, one thing that we talk about a lot is that, like, you have to do what works for you on your budget, because people come from all walks of life.
Yeah.
You know, they're doing stuff that, because we do it virtual and in person. these classes. And so some people are in these rural areas that they don't have access to these things. And we're dealing with people who are in underserved communities. They may be living in a food desert. So canned salmon might be their best option. You know what I mean? So it's, again, it's just the good, better, best label. If you have it in your budget, just get wild caught all the time. If you don't, then stick to the can. I mean, because that's going to be the most cost effective for you.
Right. So it's something for everybody. It's not like it's a roadblock if you can't.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So we ready to plate these? All right. Can you grab me a plate over there? So we're going to eat in front of you guys. Okay? All right. So we've got our buns here. Going to get a little bit of that aioli on there. You can see it's like nice and thick. It's just going to enhance, there's some sun-dried tomatoes in there as well, so we're just going to enhance that flavor that we have on the fish.
That looks so good.
All right, so there's a couple different variations you can do with this because, you know, we've got the salad here. You can take this burger and you can eat it on top of your salad.
Oh, that looks so good.
I hear the gasp from the crowd. Like, that was so good.
Right. So smart.
It smells so delicious.
Good job. So smart.
Okay, and then we got our little mini burger.
Erin, looks like we have another question.
Actually, I don't have a question, but I have a comment. One thing that I loved about today is learning about the healthy swaps. It's a great idea to use the yogurt instead of mayo and substituting certain things of that nature. So I'm really excited about this in my own kitchen.
Okay.
Oh, awesome.
That's what we're here to do. Let's try to inspire. Okay, and now it's time to put it all together. You ready?
Yes, I'm
okay,
ready.
so we've got our burgers on the bun. Like I said, you can put it on the salad if you like. We're going to use a little bit of those mixed greens from our salad, though, to top this. Okay, we've got a little bit there. So again, multi-use. No need to get some extra lettuce if you already got some salad, some greens, mixed greens. Got our red onion, because I love red onion on burgers. If you don't like that bite, keep it off. Okay, you don't like the bite,
No,
do you?
I don't.
I was like, wait a minute. Let me take it off of hers. Okay, there you go.
Great.
And
Are we going to cheers on burgers?
we can cheers, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and you know what? We can put some feta cheese on top of that too if we wanted to, but that's okay.
Okay.
All right, so you can put some feta on top. You can put any of those items that you normally put on a burger on top. All right, so we're going to take a bite.
There's so much.
And so much flavor in that bite.
It is. It's delicious.
Okay, guys, sorry. That was really good. Okay. All right, so we're almost done.
Almost.
We're gonna do a little bit of dessert. Very simple, and again, it involves the grill. So all we're gonna do is we're gonna spray this. This spray oil is wonderful too because it covers everything. And if you're trying to use less oil, it allows you to do that as well, instead of just pouring it out. So we've got some pineapple here. So we're gonna put that on the grill. Hear that nice little sizzle. And what I did is I cut it. Have you guys ever cut a pineapple before? Yeah, okay. And so what I did was I cut it, the big round part that you have after you cut off the tops and the sides and the bottom. And then I just cut it into eighths. And what I was able to do, like when they're still quartered, that's a good time to get rid of that core. You have those quarter pieces. You can see where the core and the flesh of the pineapple meet. Just slice right down there, and then you can cut that quarter into half.
So, Erin, how do I choose a ripe pineapple?
Well, that's a very good question. So the thing about pineapples is that once they are picked, they stop ripening. So they don't, unlike a lot of other fruits, like they don't continue to get ripe as they age, right? And unfortunately, you know, a lot of times we're picking fruit, we're picking it before it reaches that ripeness section.
Exactly.
Typically, when you're looking for pineapples, you just want to make sure that they have a little bit of like a green-yellow color to it. But that can be deceiving too, because sometimes you cut a green pineapple and it's very sweet. Another way to check on it is to smell it. If you can smell the scent of the pineapple coming through, then that means it's going to be right.
Okay.
Also testing the heaviness. The same thing you do with watermelon. You want it to be a little heavier for its size, because that means it contains a little bit more of the juice. And then you can also, like the little leaves that are at the top, you can kind of pull on those, and if they come away easily, that typically means it's ripe. Yeah, so those are some options there for you guys.
Good.
All right, so we're going to do this very quickly. We're going to flip this over.
How long does this go? Does this go pretty quickly?
Yeah, I mean, 4 to 5 minutes, especially if you have a really hot grill. 4 to 5 minutes on each side. And it just depends on how cooked you want it. If you want it cooked all the way, if you want it to still kind of have a little bit of that freshness to it. But one thing that's nice about putting fruit onto a grill is that it just helps to caramelize those sugars that are in there. And when we're thinking about dessert, we want something sweet, right? So we're able to like get it just from the fruit alone.
Yeah.
So I'm going to cover that so that has a chance to go, and I'm going to get to the star. So this is a nice cream that's made from cashews. And you can see just how like creamy it is. It's so smooth. Now you do need a high-speed blender for this, like a bullet would work, or a Vitamix, but a bullet is probably the more cost-effective way to go. It's basically soaking some cashews and adding a little bit of water into there, and you can adjust the water depending on how thick you want the cream to be. But we made it a little extra special by adding some vanilla and bourbon. So we did include a little bit of alcohol today, ladies and gentlemen. Just a little bit of bourbon in there to just kind of kick it up a little bit. And we're going to pour that over the pineapple. So you got a little bit of pineapple and cream.
So, Erin, why do you soak the cashews?
So if you were to just blend them before soaking them, they wouldn't be as soft. So it helps to just soften them up a bit, and it makes a much smoother cream. It looks like we have another question.
So I have 2 questions,
Okay.
if that's okay. The first question is, how long should we soak the cashews in the water?
If you're using, you can use hot water. You can soak them from like 20 to 30 minutes. That should be enough, especially with the hot water. It'll be enough to get them soft.
And then with the bourbon, what if I substitute that with rum?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think one of the like brown liquors work really well in this. So, yeah.
I was asking for a friend.
Of course you are. Okay, if you want to hand me one of the little dessert plates.
Okay.
Just about ready to plate this up, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so you can see these beautiful grill. Whew, it's slippery. It's very slippery. Let's see, we'll turn that one over. There we go. You guys can see the grill marks on there. You can see it dripping.
Yes.
With the juices coming out of there. All right, we're going to put it on here. Great. And we are going to pour a little cream on top of there. If you want to do the honors, Tiffany, go for it.
Sure.
And there's also a little bit of honey in there too. That's what helps to sweeten it up. I like to use honey to sweeten things just because it tends to have some antibacterial properties to it. And it's not refined. So I look for the one that says raw and unfiltered. So that's a good thing. If you're looking for honey, and if you can, find a local honey. Because that, if you have allergies, it actually can help you get desensitized to your local flowers and plants. Yes. So a little bit over time can just kind of, because it exposes your body to a little bit of the that pollen over time, and your body kind of gets used to it, so it's not really reacting. You're not getting all those histamine released. So good to know. Oh yeah, what's your question?
You just mentioned the benefits of honey. I keep looking at the spray bottle of avocado oil. What are the benefits of avocado oil versus olive oil?
Okay, well that's a good question. So with avocado oil, it's designed for high heat cooking. Not all olive oils are designed for high heat cooking. And that's unfortunate because when you see cooking shows, people are like, I'm using the olive oil, but they're not telling you what type of olive oil they're using, right? So if you have or like how high the heat is and that sort of thing. So if you have like an extra virgin olive oil, like that, meaning that they don't do a whole lot of like filtering or heating and that sort of thing, it's very, very delicate. So those you use for dressings, you know, things that you're not, or if you're just doing something on a lower heat setting, like if you go above medium, like don't use olive oil because the oils can go rancid really fast. So you want to make sure you're doing high heat. So avocado oil is a good one, grapeseed oil, or if you do like more of a refined oil, olive oil. And a lot of times they have it listed on their labeling, like if it's designed for high heat or not. So that's a very good point, thank you. Especially since we're doing this at 400 degrees, you definitely don't want to use the olive oil. Okay? All right, guys, well, we have plated our, oh, you didn't drizzle any on yours.
Oh, what?
We've got our pineapples ready to go. Of course, we got to taste it. Looks yummy, yeah? Okay. Well done. All right, let's cheers. Cheers. Pretty good combination. Yeah, I could just drink this.
Don't just have that at home.
No, that could be a little bit dangerous.
That's so good.
And there's like this slight hint of the bourbon in there, right? All right, guys, well, I think it's time to let you eat. We've done enough eating up here, right?
Right, I think so.
Yeah.
If you are here with us live today, you have a QR code on your table. We invite you to scan that code so you can go and identify what your risk is for type 2 diabetes. And if you're interested while you're there, you have the option to join our CYL Squared program. Change your lifestyle, change your life. And for those of you at home, you can go to our website at bwhi.org/CYL2 for Change Your Lifestyle, Change Your Life.
Thank you, guys. We hope you had a great time. Until the next time, let's eat.
So fun.